inside that home. This evening, the victims laid to rest, the daughters who survived, away at school at the time, surrounded by loved ones. And tonight there is new focus on that surveillance tape, the figure captured on it, and the attorney who now says authorities have the wrong man. Here's ABC's Ryan Smith.
Tonight, hundreds of friends and family grieving the loss of Savopoulos, his wife Amy, and their 10-year-old son Philip, brutally killed along with their housekeeper, teenagers carrying the smallest casket. Just moments ago, the surviving family members lined up with others as the hearses carried those coffins to the cemetery. The suspect, Darren Wint, arrested in connection with their killing, now professing his innocence, says his former lawyer after meeting with him in jail.
He is resolute in the belief, and I also harbor the same belief, that he wouldn't kill anybody.
The lawyer has not yet been retained by Wint, has not seen the evidence, nor would he comment on whether Wint has an alibi. But he challenges some of the evidence police have collected, like Wint's DNA found on a pizza crust in the home, saying Wint doesn't even like pizza. And he claims about the police.
They lied when he said that he was the man in the video.
But police insist Wint is in this video, running from the family's burned Porsche shortly after the home was set on fire. Wint once worked for Savopoulos' steel manufacturing company, but left over a decade ago.
He had nothing against the deceased man.
After the service today, the family stood close together on the church steps, watching their loved ones pass by one final time. Ryan Smith, ABC News, Washington.
Ryan, thank you. To Washington tonight.
That is a rarity for a lawyer to say that the cops lied. Gee whiz. It's taken me a long time to realize this, but the perfect cop crime is when they put charges on the true victim, and then they declare the criminals as the victim. So what happens is, the true victim not only has to fight the cops, they got to fight the so-called claimed victims, and then there's little dirty tricks of if the true victim tries to contact the criminal, what happens is, now they put not only a charge on the true victim of the original crime, then what they do is they put on either stalking a court-protected witness, intimidating a witness. Now, this person may have had, like with me, Jimbikeman, I've got a charge for phone harassing. How is it possible, if you're calling the dispatchers to only report crimes that the cops choose to ignore, how's that harassing them? And the facts are, if they're picking up the phone all day long, they're in the wrong business in the first place. Now, Walter Scott, if it wasn't for that person who had videotaped that cop in South Carolina planning a taser, that cop would have gone free. He would have been patted on the back, and there had probably been cops going, hey, why didn't you get closer to the heart? Hey, why didn't you get him right between the eyes? So the truth of the matter is, and then on top of that, the true victim, they can't get, there's a program in the state of Florida, it's called Victim Witness Assistance. The true victim can't even get any help from this so-called program. And then on top of that, I highly suspect what they do is they take the victims, the so-called victims, and the cops, and they turn them into victims. And I highly suspect that they get money. I have no proof on it. So here, all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to protect my fellow Americans, and I've got a kangaroo trial that is coming up. Now, this right here is showing stuff. It's going to be my defense. Okay? This is my defense right here. Cop entrapment, forced arrest calls, home castle rights, cop arrest duty to arrest these punks, these boom cars. That's called 3015 Florida statutes. Cop lied on their oath. You could tell just by their conduct they had no intentions on keeping their oath, even when they got in the office under 876 of the Florida statutes. I have right to stand my ground in my home. Article 2, Section 7 of the Florida Constitution says unnecessary noise will not be tolerated. When the boom cars, they bust through with their speakers, that's called felony home invasion. It is the duty of the state's attorney to arrest these punks that are going up and down the road, violating people's rights to live in peace. Crime Stopper says you don't need a name. It's not necessary. But gee whiz, when I try to report a crime, that's not good enough. There's also something a lot of people don't know about. It's called misprision of treason. And that's 876-33. And what that basically means is that a person, when they know that there's any kind of seditious activity and they don't report it, they can be prosecuted. That's a third-degree felony in the state of Florida. They could use crime prevention signs. When the cops say, oh, well, we got bigger fish to fry. Oh, we got much more serious things. Well, gee whiz, why do they have signs that say no loitering? Why do they have signs that say no sleeping in the park? Why do they have signs no alcoholic beverages? Well, those are low priority crimes. But by putting them signs up, a lot of people, they would not take a chance. Now we've got something called felony drum assault. That's 784 of the Florida statutes. That would be the same thing like if somebody came up with ice picks and poked them into somebody's ears. Or somebody took and clapped somebody's ears real hard. That right there would be felony battery. Now, 316-3045 of the Florida statute specifically states the noise can only be a maximum 25 feet. Not only that, there's something called street gangs. They're in a vehicle going down the road on a street. Street gang. That they can take away their vehicles. That's under 874.02 of the Florida statutes. Cops protected terrorism. And that's under 775.30.895.093. Now this is also selective prosecution. Okay? That's where they decided to prosecute me. Retaliation prosecution, vindictive prosecution. Tina Alliston is not arrested, yet she calls 4 years about speeding cars in her neighborhood in Panama City, Florida, on 8th Street and Oak Avenue in Panama City, Florida, where, by a miracle, I saw this article in the News Herald that was written by Zach McDonald. She also has a sign out on her property that says, drive like your kids live here, or some bullshit like that. Now, the cops are on the road 24 hours a day, so what's their excuse for not getting every one of them, these boom cars? The cops can use video cameras. The dispatch, they invited the conduct. How? They're the ones that hung up on me. Dispatch, if they had treated me right, I would have treated them right. I did not start the trouble first. All I did is I reacted to it. now cops trivialize the boom cars. They'll take and turn around and go, and that right there is showing 87603 of the Florida statutes. Cops trivialize the boom cars. And by doing that, they make it sound like, oh, that's just kids being kids having fun or something like that. Oh, they'll grow out of it. But you'll notice that cops, they leave their cars out in front of their homes. Why do they do that? They leave them out in front of their home so that they don't hear no boom cars. Not only that, they put their families in danger. There was this scam group called Lower 100 that came through Bay County a couple of months ago, and yet I'll bet you not one of them mentioned anything, hey, cover your car up. Now, I've been arrested 2 times in the past for calling in boom cars, and not only that, one time, August 20th, 1999 and March 13, 1999, I was arrested by the sheriff because I was complaining about a place called Thunderbirds in Panama City, Florida. Emergency danger is what the boom cars put the ambulance fire department people in. Cops could easily put up signs saying, ask public report signs. Boom car terrorist organization under 87403. It's the duty of the Florida governor to protect the citizens that he swore to do, so he's a liar. And so the perfect thing is to charge the true victim. And then we've got loud car home cop arrest trap. So, the perfect crime. Not only that, I had a guy pull a knife out on me by the name of Danny Cashmere Pipus. And guess what? They charged me. I'm the one that went to jail. I tried to force a jury trial. Lisa Stutzel said the victim no longer was to press charges. Tell me if that ain't a cover-up. She could have very easily said, I don't care if you want to drop the charges. We're keeping the charges going. But then that would have been a jury trial. And then they would be exposed. And this is the reason why June 15th, 2015, I'm expecting you to get a jury trial on my harassing phone call charges bullshit.